Assalamu alaikum jami'an. This is a special day and I cannot let go without making some remarks lastly. Leaders usually tell the bright side of their employees after they retire, as my CEOs just did, but I will tell you the hard side of it. Prior to joining Adeeb in 2008, which became Sadara in October 2011, I had 5 sons and 1 daughter. After joining Sadara and Adeeb in 2008, my fertility rate dropped to 0. So this tells you how much we suffered with them. I would like to start by a funny story, but it's real. I had to write my remarks honestly because I woke up with a very severe headache today, so it won't be possible to be spontaneous and telling you informally. I have this great friend and relative who is well known in town for having a great sense of humor. He was trying hard with me over the past weeks so I can change my mind and not to retire. He said, listen Adeeb, since I retired from Aramco 12 years ago, and every time I hear people talking about work experiences or I spot the flares at RTR or Jaima gas plant, my body starts shaking and I start sweating. I remained like this for 5 years. I tried all medications. Nothing could cure me. Until one day in the middle of the night, I woke up, I ran to an abandoned car I used to have, it's out of town, and I opened the trunk, which was still tied up with a silk, and I found my coverall and my safety shoes, which I used before retirement. And I crushed myself on those items, and my body started to recover. So he said, in your situation, you don't have a coverall, uniform, and a safety shoes to sniff. I said, no, I have great memories in this company that I will always remember, and it will keep my body stable. Let me share with you some of those old memories. I'll try to be as fast as possible, but really, I feel like I have to repay these leaders. I recognize it closely, my personal attribute. And there is a moral of a story behind each one of those I worked closely with. Starting with Khalid Bouchait, my first supervisor in June 1982. To Abu Muhammad, I would like to say, I was touched by your ethics and values, your initiative toward me when I was still 20 years old, young, very young. You helped me to overcome a personal problem, and that is really unforgettable as long as I live. You stood next to me when the rest of the world was on the other side, maybe including some family members. Years later, I found out that Khalid was smart enough to be close to me, not because I was right, but because I was still too young and I was about to harm myself and maybe others. I am blessed to have known Khalid Bouchait, and I am blessed to maintaining a friendly relationship with him until this day. The moral of this story: show your human side and feel the pains of your subordinates. To Zaki Rahimi, the first manager in CDD I had, in fact he was not the first manager, he became my manager after 2 others. I recall that most managers during the early 80s used to build walls between them and their subordinates. But I adore Abu Abdurrahman for breaking those walls and allowing any employee to walk into his office to present his or her personal concerns without any protocol. The moral of this story: get closer to your people and never construct barriers. Next one is Ali Tawergi, the greatest leader I ever had. How can I forget Abu Rahim, who 1 year ago became Abu Rahim? When Ali became my director in 1992, I did not know him, and we didn't know each other. And he was advised, when he was cruising the divisions during his first week, he was advised of negative impressions about me. And he was updated of my interest to leave career development department at that time. On the following day, Ali Tawergi called me directly, and he asked me to come and visit him in his office at the Tower building. And he said, Adeeb, I would like to utilize the young resources in this department. If you reconsider your decision on not transferring out from CDD, I will make it up to you to choose any division, any unit, any function you want to be involved with. And I said to him, نحن من معشر القوم إذا رزقنا في البر بنروح البر وإذا رزقنا في البحر بنخر البحر. The following years were followed with great successes and prosperity in my career. To Abu Rami, I would like to say, in 1992, I was about to resign from the company, not just leaving CDD. With your great leadership qualities, I was able to exhibit my creativity and dedication, and I was able to prove to you the contrary of what has been said about me. The moral of this story, act as a judge, listen to both sides, so you exhibit or perform justice before making any judgment. Last but not least, Adil Tubayyib, one of the most impressive leaders. I was so lucky to work closely with him as a member in his planning staff when he was the DB of MS and JVC. Adil was so informal to the point when he speaks with me, he would use a Gadifi accent. One day I yelled at him, I said, Adil, I am not from Gadif, I am from Safwan. He said, what's the difference? I said, nearly 20 kilometers. Adil touched my heart in 2008 when he was appointed as a VP of Adeeb, and he asked me to move with him to the new admin area. I did not hesitate, so I moved with him, and that assignment became one of the most mutual interest assignments where I was able to contribute my past 25 years of service at that time to Adeeb, which became Sadara. So the moral of this story, if you believe in someone, show him you do, irrespective of your position or his status. There were other leaders whom I was honored to recognize over the past 30 years, including Mr. Abdulaziz Jdain Abu Fahad, but unfortunately, due to our locations, our business involvement was very minimal. Also, I recall that Abdulaziz used to hold constant meetings with the employees. He would come from North Park to the LIP, and he would meet closely on almost monthly basis and listen to the people openly without interrupting them. I adore you for your way of leadership, Abdulaziz. Ziad Labban as well, during his first week of appointment as a CEO, he met with all employees in small groups so he can listen to them, and he urged them to tell him the good, the bad, the ugly about how they feel. Finally, before I conclude, my most sincere advocate at this moment would go to my parents, my father, Allah yarhamah, Walda, and to my wife Taja, who stood next to me for the past 30 years, especially during our OK assignment when she was growing up and teaching our children. My relationship with this company, Saudi Aramco, will inshallah will continue and last with pride. I represent third generation. My grandfather served 7 years, my father served 35 years, and I am so lucky to have my son Muhammad, who's sitting in the back, who recently joined the company. So our bloods will continue running with this company, and we feel proud that we will continue sweating for the sake of this company. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for elaborating.